Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us on this information session on the Master of Islamic Religious Leadership Program. With me here today is Dr. Muhammad AbuTaleb, the Dean of Administration and one of our professors at the BIS, as well as Dr. Suheil, the Assistant Professor of Islamic Studies and Sciences. Let's get started, inshallah. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu ala rasulillah. Great to be with all of you. And really what we are going to share with you is a challenge before the American Muslim community that all of you are intimately familiar with. As we look at the challenges and pressures facing Muslims in America today, facing the Muslim family, you know they are mostly multidisciplinary in nature. It is not simply something that is addressed by a speech alone or by a single specialty alone, but it requires effective leadership at the local and communal level to really empower the family with the suite of tools that they need in order to raise righteous children, in order to feel strong and empowered in one's own Muslim identity. In order to do this, a person needs to be deeply grounded in the Islamic tradition, to be able to draw upon a wealth of training, not only from the theory or the thought of it, but indeed to roll off of their tongues that which they struggle to live and bring to life in reality. And only a minority of American Muslim leaders are trained in any formal capacity that is directed towards the role, which really puts a lot on the shoulders of these leaders. You can look at research from of various different sources, from universities, and you look at the studies and surveys of mosques by Dr. Ahsan Bagbi and others, and notice that these leaders that are carrying a lot on their shoulders are oftentimes not empowered with the support and continuing education and grounding that is needed in order to be able to solve these problems. Moreover, the majority of leaders in America that are trained have gotten some or all of that training overseas. And so while they bring some of that flavor and idea and depth that comes from the world's centers of learning, it can be a big challenge in order to contextualize that learning and apply it to the American framework and to the challenges that are facing in each locality and in each part of the world. That's where the Boston Islamic Seminary comes in, and we look to meet this challenge of preparing the next generation of American Muslim religious leadership. And our flagship program, the Masters in Islamic Religious Leadership, helps prepare frontline leaders across the suite of the needs and the demands of the American Muslim community and the society at large. An important dimension of that, as you'll learn in detail, is grounding in the Islamic sciences, but not only in their theory, but also their practical application, understanding the context that is offered by the prophetic example, and how to bring those texts to life in the context of the modern world and the challenges and unique issues that it faces. Part of that is dealing with case studies, with applied problems, with research, and in interacting with distinguished and esteemed fellow students, as well as a very distinguished faculty, in trying to learn how to do that in the classroom before they are met and as they are met with the challenges of doing so in the field. In addition, we seek for all of our master's candidates to be broadly grounded across the foundations that are demanded by the realities of service. But ultimately, each person has an area of focus, and that area of focus can extend beyond what we may think of partially as classical religious leadership. It extends to things beyond preaching, beyond teaching, beyond oration, to questions of counseling, of care, of spiritual consultations, to questions of youth mentorship, to questions of outreach and media work, to a grounding in law, a broad grounding in legal theory in America, a broad grounding in American politics and American history, in order to be able to draw upon these skills and apply them in the required setting. And so the cohorts that we admit and that we're very proud of that are matriculating through our program actually reflect this diversity that is needed in the American Muslim community. For example, our inaugural cohort is actually about 2/3 women. And this, is a recognition, alhamdulillah, not only of the incredible diversity that our Muslim community has to offer and the need for us to draw on the talents that are within that diversity, but indeed the prophetic example and the example of generations past, in which the representation of age diversity, cultural diversity, gender diversity informs meaningful solutions for people and allows people to see role models that embody what it means to live Islam in a space. And that's why, if you notice, although we recognize and we support the importance of many different programs of study, you'll notice our master's is not in Islamic studies, but in Islamic religious leadership. Because ultimately, our hope is to graduate leaders that can not only profess the knowledge and teach the knowledge, but in fact can enact and enable others to live the best version of themselves and live Islam in the reality of our modern context, complete with its many challenges. It's my pleasure, inshallah, as we shift to invite Dr. Suheil Leher, inshallah, to inform us more about some of the specifics of how this is brought to life in our curriculum and in our teaching programs, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So I will give you a quick overview of our master's degree program. So we have 24 courses, as you see there on the top left, and you will be able to take, if you enroll in the program, some additional courses, if you like, to bring the total to 30 courses, and that is part of the distinction track if you take the additional courses. Also, all students are required to do 2 internships in the 2 summers that they'll spend in the program. And we have the ability for students to study full-time, in which case the degree will take 3 years, or part-time, in which case it will take 4 to 6 years. As far as the content, as Dr. Muhammad was just telling us, in our degree, we not only teach the Islamic knowledge, foundational knowledge, but also, very importantly, about the context, the contemporary Western or American context. And we also seek to equip our students with some of the skills and counseling, skills including counseling skills that they would need in order to effectively lead Muslim communities or occupy leadership positions in the Muslim community. So not all of our students will, of course, go into counseling. We actually have some other potential tracks. So some may go on to become imams. Some may go on to become chaplains, whether university chaplains or some other type of chaplain. And I am not going to go through the items on which you have just seen on the slide in detail, but we will talk a little bit about this slide. So This represents year 1 of the program if you are a full-time student. So in the fall semester, you see there are 4 courses: A Light Among the People, Living the Quran, Thematic Approach to Tafsir. So of course we place a lot of emphasis on the Quran and Sunnah, which are foundational to Islam by the agreement of all schools and sects within Islam. Then the Sunnah of the Messenger, a thematic approach, Islamic belief and Aqidah. This is the first year, and in the second year there is a further course, Advanced Applied Aqidah, which is not shown here, but by the way, there is a link at the bottom, and I think these links will also be provided to you, where you can see the full outline of the full 3 years. Then we have courses also in fiqh, in Sirah, intellectual foundations of the modern world, you see also up there religions in contemporary America, Usul al-Fiqh, legal theory, and Maqasid al-Sharia, objectives of Islamic law. So this course actually is an important course because it enables students to understand the big picture of what fiqh is all about. That is, it is not merely simply a list of rules and regulations. Then this next slide shows some of our faculty. This is not exhaustive. Again, there is a link provided where you can find a fuller list of our faculty. So as you can see, we have some distinguished names here. And this is what we hope to offer our students: access to leading scholars, academics, and many of these are also leaders in the Muslim community who can not only teach our students, but also interact with them and mentor them. Okay, the next slide is about some other details of the program. So for our approach, we believe that our students, as we heard earlier, Dr. Muhammad touched on this, and I also mentioned that we are trying to impart not only information in an academic or intellectual sense, but we want our students to have a spiritual and moral dimension to their education, because that is essential in order to lead effectively. We also have in many of our courses a practical orientation. In other words, how this knowledge can be applied in the Muslim community. teacher-student mentorship. I already mentioned this. The internships, as I said, our students are required to spend their summers. So there are 3 years of the program if you are full-time, and that means that there are 2 summers included within that. So full-time students will spend a large part of both of those summers on their internships. We have more details on this, which we are not going to get into right now in terms of hours and so on. As for those who are interested in chaplaincy, you can use the CPE in lieu of the internships which are offered by BIS. And the distinction program, I already touched on this. This is for those who want to take the additional course each semester. And in that case, the additional optional course. And in that case, your certificate will indicate that you are receiving the Master of Islamic Religious Leadership with distinction. Okay, so now I will hand back to Dr. Muhammad to give you a quick overview of the admissions process.
May Allah reward you, Dr. Suheil, Sister Hana, and as we hear more about this program, I'd like to make you aware that we are currently accepting applications. Alhamdulillah, this unique opportunity. I know many community leaders that had to piece together this type of breadth of training and this type of opportunity also for mentorship and internships from many sources. So it's really a unique opportunity, inshallah, to consider the Boston Islamic Seminary in your training and educational goals. The applications that are received by July 1st will be given priority consideration for scholarships. And if you're not able to apply by then still applying by our deadline, inshallah, will enable you to be considered for the upcoming academic year. This academic year also has a unique opportunity in that it is possible to complete the program entirely online and virtually with opportunities for retreats and intensive in-person sessions. But if you're anywhere across America, that's a unique opportunity without the need to be residential in the seminary, that you can take the classes virtually and then come for special opportunities, inshallah, in retreats and the like. And as we look at the next slide to give you an idea of the application process, the application process is meant not only to evaluate the candidates' readiness for the rigors of the program, but really to give you an opportunity also to get to know the seminary at a deeper level. You will be able to prepare an application to express your hopes and ambitions in a personal statement, to submit some of the required documentation that helps us maintain our standards as an academic institution, such as transcripts and others. But you also have a chance to meet a number of members of our faculty in an admissions interview where you'll get to ask your questions as well. And inshallah, that process ends with a decision. And again, we look at this process not merely as a one-way process or an evaluation, but really an opportunity for conversation and depth to grow your awareness of the investment that we are asking for in this program. It does draw on your time. It draws on your fullness of participation, but we believe by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that investment may serve you and others for a lifetime, many times more than what was put into it. Inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept. On the next slide, looking at our requirements, the seminary's Master's in Islamic Religious Leadership is a graduate level program. And so we do require a bachelor's degree along with letters of recommendation and a personal statement, memorization of at least one juz of the Quran, and ability to read and write Arabic at a beginner's level are kind of form the foundation of the admissions requirements. If you feel like you have many of these requirements but may not meet one, still inshallah you can correspond, and one of our goals inshallah is to help even to prepare candidates inshallah for readiness to the program through our sister institutions or through other programs of study. On the next slide, I want to draw your attention to the fact that there's really a unique opportunity here, wherever you are in the United States, to really engage in what is quite a unique program. You can find more at www.bostonislamicseminary.org, and we recognize that this is a big decision, and we respect that, and we honor that. So there'll also be live question and answer sessions held virtually, where you can come with additional questions. You can correspond with us online. You can feel free to send an email. Whatever works for you, we respect, inshallah, that as exciting and enticing as this opportunity may be, that this is a big decision, and we want to support you in making that decision. Also, inshallah, keep in mind as we move to the next slide that there are many ways to connect with the seminary, even if you are not necessarily a candidate for the master's program. You may know someone that could be a breath of fresh air for your local youth group, or for those coming upon hard times that can really use the spiritual guidance and counseling of someone that is prepared for that, or those that one day could be very strong representatives of Islam and Muslims on the media or in outreach or in interfaith circles. And so we encourage you. Sometimes, many of our students look back and talk about how it was that one person, that one mentor, that one teacher, that one family member that believed in them and encouraged them, that was that spark that brought about the inspiration to engage in the program. Moreover, I encourage you to connect on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, where you can stay up to date on the developments at the seminary and also the programs that we have outside of the Masters in Islamic Religious Leadership. And so we have programs that are enriching, but at a shorter time investment, such as our Islamic Foundation certificate and other continuing education programs that can also enrich your pursuits and your service and your leadership, inshallah. With that, we really look forward and to receiving, continuing to be in touch with you, and look forward to seeing many of you in the question and answer session. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Sister Hana, to close us out.
Jazakumullah khair for joining us. As Dr. AbuTaleb mentioned, you can go to bostonislamicseminary.org/MIRL to learn more about the master's program. You can also email us at info@bostonislamicseminary.org. And we are looking forward to receiving those questions and getting in touch with you as soon as possible, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for joining us. Wassalamu alaikum.